Question number 9 asks us which function below has the same y-intercept as the graph below. So the first thing that I noticed about all my answer choices is that they are all written in, they're all linear equations, but they're not all written in y equals mx plus b form. Because if we can write it in y equals mx plus b form, we're just looking for the same b. So it's obviously a lot easier to see on a graph because you just look where it's crossing the y-axis at -3. And I picked answer choice 4 because I just rewrote my equation. It was actually the easiest one to rewrite to get the y alone in mx plus b form. So there's my -3. That's why we chose answer choice 4. Now, flip side, if you look on the calculator, it's a lot easier, I think actually faster to do it on the calculator instead of rewriting it. So what you would want to do is graph each one of these. So here's answer choice 1. Notice how I did not have to write that as a relation because it was already y equals. And you can see that it's definitely not the same y-intercept. I'm just going to add a new page. And then I'm going to have to graph number 2 and change this to relation mode. Actually, let's just pick answer choice 4. I think you get the hang of it to see by proving why this one is right. So if you hit enter, you can see that yes, in fact, the y-intercept is at -3. If you hit control, oh no, just kidding, we can't hit control T. So you just have to look on the graph. You can also use the trace feature if you need to figure out if it's exactly hitting at -3. So menu 5, oops. So menu 5 for trace and graph trace, and you can see that the y-intercept shows up right away. Question number 10 is just being careful with the reading. If we're looking for area, we are multiplying 2x minus 6 all times 3x minus 5. I think the best way to show this is by doing the box method and just double distributing that way, and then you end up with answer choice 2. There's not really a good way to use the checks on your calculator, but here's an idea. I'm going to graph the area because area is equal to length times width. So I'm going to multiply the two together, and I'm going to graph that. Then what you would just need to do is graph all your answer choices. And I'm just going to prove that number 2 is right. This is a great way to check because the two should lie on top of each other. If you add them all together, you were close, but not exactly. You found the perimeter. If you added 2 of each, I should say. If you just added 2x minus 6 plus 3x minus 5, you were way off. So if you picked answer choice 1, be real careful. If you picked answer choice 3, you found perimeter. All right, so 11 was pretty tough if you tried to do it the algebraic method. So I'm going to talk about a few different methods right now. Algebraic method, first thing I did was I put the 2 points that they gave us in a table, found the slope to be 2. Then I put in one of the points, 311, and the slope here, and ended up getting my y-intercept to be 5. So my equation is y equals 2x plus 5. Then I went back and I checked every single one of the points. That is probably the longest method to get question number 11 right. So let's talk about a few other strategies. Okay, so here's a table, and I went from my lowest x value, so -2, 1. I listed all the other points in there because if you notice your answer choices, all are dealing with the point 2 comma something. So I also listed 311, and in order to get from 1 to 11 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps, I went 10 spaces, or 10 numbers, 1 to 11 is 10, in 5 jumps. So if I just divide that by 5, I can realize that every single one of the jumps is just 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So that's another way of doing this. There's a way to do it on the calculator. I just think that this is the fastest way. I can show you how to do it on the calculator. You're just going to add those 2 points to your listen spreadsheet, as well as the 4 points that they gave you. Then we're going to add data and statistics. change our x and y's, and you want to find the 1 point, which is the 0.29. If you hover your mouse over it, it will tell you what the right answer is. That makes a straight line between the other two. Okay, with number 12, I'm hoping that you were able to see that this was a transformation of a function. We're paying attention to the 3, the -2, and the +1, noticing where they all exist. The number out in front will either make it narrower or wider. Because it's a whole number, it makes it skinnier. The -2 inside the function's parentheses means it moves to the right, and the +1 means move it up 1. On the flip side, using your calculator, graph both of them and just compare the vertex, see what happened. You can tell that from the pink to the green, it definitely got skinnier, narrower, and then it moved to the right and up. Question 13, not a real easy way to do this one on the calculator. You definitely should just rely on the math for this one. Remember, at most means it can't be any more than. You just wanted to make sure that you were being careful. The constant is just like a flat rate. That's why it doesn't ever have a variable attached to it. That's why, what is it? 1 and 2 are out because 79 cents is not how much it costs to get in. The rides were 79 cents each. Then I just took the inequality and I solved it. Here it says r is less than or equal to 4.556962. A lot of people might want to round that, but r has to be smaller than 14.5. So with that being said, we can't go on 15 rides. If we try to do that, then we know that it would not hold to be true. Some of you might like to back solve at this point once you know what the inequality is and put 14 or substitute 14 in for r and make sure that you get a true statement. If you did that, you would get a true statement here, but a false statement down below. Moving on to 14, first thing that I did on this one, because it said the median temperature had to be above 80 degrees, we should know by now that the middle of the box is the median, so I got rid of Ocean Beach and Serene Shores because of that criteria. And then we were down to Whispering Palms and Pelican Beach. The smallest interquartile range, well, the interquartile range is quartile 3 minus quartile 1. So really, we're just looking at how big the box is from here minus this. So the smaller the box, because they had the same exact scale, it was really easy to compare. That is the one that we would have picked. So answer choice 4. 15, here is that exponential function coming at you again. I told you it always appears. So the y-intercept is the initial value, and here we have the y-intercept. It's always this value right here when it's written in the a times b to the x form. If not, just graph it, and then you could see what the 5,000 actually looked like, or what the actual y-intercept was. So graph it. It's not there, well, obviously because it's not high enough. We need to change this. I mean, it starts at 5,000, so maybe we want to, I don't know, change it to 7,000 so we can see a picture of it. We only really care about the y-intercept. I don't like the way this graph looks right now, but I can see my y-intercept there. Again, you could figure out what the value is by tracing it, and the y-intercept shows up. 5e plus 3 means 5 followed by 3 zeros, so 5,000. So we can narrow it down to 3 and 4 immediately, and we know that first value is always the initial amount. Just make sure that you know that. Question 16, not really a nice way to do this one on the calculator because we are dealing with way too many variables. What you do need to know is inverse operations. So you're going to look to see what do they want to get a loan. Says it in the problem. Also, just look at your answer choices. So we're trying to get r alone. Right now, r is being squared, and it's being multiplied by pi and h. So first undo by dividing by pi h, then take the square root. Then we're just left with r is equal to the square root of that whole fraction, v divided by pi h.